want to thank you all for coming out this morning in spite of the weather. My book today is, thank you, Mr. Falkner. This book is near and dear to all of us in here, because every year when school begins, I read this book to my class to let them know that we all are different. We all learn in different ways. I'm giving them a head start on what to expect when we start working together as a community of learners. So without further ado, I will go on and talk about this wonderful book. I look at my audience today, I see a lot of different diversity of people in here. Mamas, grandmamas, granddaddies, and I know you take care of your grandchildren, so this book will help you. If Johnny's not working well or not sitting still, this might give you some ideas how to deal with Johnny. Now, she said to point this to her when I want to start. Okay. Am I right? Am I doing it? Is it on? Okay, so. Which way do I go, right or left?
Your left.
To my left, okay. Okay, here we go. Went too far. All right, we're here. Now, this book is about a little girl. Her name is Patricia. Patricia's family grew up loving to read and loving books. Everyone in her family read books. Her mother was a teacher who read to her every night. In her family, there was a tradition. They would take honey. Want my honey? They would put a little bit on a book. I'm not putting on a book today, though. And they would taste it. I'll put a little bit on my finger and taste it, honey. It's like taste. Boy, that's sweet. It's the knowledge of like the bee that made the sweet honey you have to chase through the pages of books. So with Tricia, little Tricia enjoyed going through and starting school and learning how to read. At 5 years old, I'm not gonna say the word yet, but I'm talking about the book. This is my visual learners. All right, Tricia enjoyed reading books. When she entered the first kindergarten at age 5, she wanted to read. But when she got in school and all the kids were there, she could not read. Only Mr. Falkner, a stylish, fun-loving teacher, recognizes Tricia's incredible artistic abilities after her problem. And he takes time to learn to lead her right to the magic of reading. I'm trying to listen to at the same time. The author is Patricia Polacco. She was born in Langston, Michigan in 1944. Soon after her birth, she lived in Wilmington, Michigan, then moved to her grandparents' farm in Union City, Michigan in 1949. Living on the little farm was the most magical time in the life, and her grandparents were some of the most inspirational people in her life. Her school day was not fun. She was teased and bullied because of her learning disability. Only one day, an amazing teacher came into her life, Mr. Faulkner. This autobiography story is close to the author, Patricia Polacco's heart. Okay, after turning 5, she entered the kindergarten, most of all, hoping to read. Before the year was over, some of the kids were reading, but not Tricia. As they moved to the second book, Tricia stayed in the first reader. Her brother told her in first grade, you will learn how to read. When it was time for her to read the letters, the teacher had to tell her almost every word. Reading was a torture for Tricia. In the reading circles, when Tricia looked at the pages, she saw wiggles, shakes, and the kids laughed. And she tried to song her words. Tricia began to feel different. She began to feel dumb. And for most kids, if they're like that in the classroom, they lose their hope. So we have to step in as teachers. The harder words got for Tricia, she spent more time drawing, but she loved to draw. All the other students would come around to crowd around to see her with magic crayons. She loved being at school because she could draw. I'm going to step back for a moment because I missed something. I missed the why I chose this book. I'm going to go back for a minute. I hate to do this, but I can't miss this part. I don't see it. I know it's down here. Anyway, it's the why this book. I chose the book because of the teachers in the world. The teachers have a tremendous job to do. We don't understand, in the classroom, teachers are lawyers, detectives, investigators, doctors, nurses. And we do this because that's what we love to do with students. When you take on this job of being a teacher, the pay is not there. It's for the love of what you do. I should know. I taught school for 34 years. Not about the pay. It's about when some kid come to you and say, Ms. Gibbs, I understand this. I got it. Those are things you look for when you teach children. It's not always going to be, every day will not be sunshine, but you get these days. Then when you get someone in the class and says, I understand, I say, you are my genius. Go help somebody else. But that's a pride in teaching. And the kids say, man, oh man. They go back and tell somebody, I love Miss Gibbs. I want to be in that Gibbs class. I had a waiting list for my class. Everybody wanted to be in my class. Because I did learning stuff. In my classroom, it was an environment of learning. Kids brought drums. They wrote skits. They made costumes. They made poems. What I was doing, I was identifying to and teaching to their learning styles. In this audience today, we have oral learners, visual learners, and kinesthetic learners. So as a teacher, we have to address every style. Every kid don't want to hear you sit down there talking. They want to be involved. So my kids were involved in their own learning. So that's how you teach kids, get them involved in their own learning. This is what this book does. And that's what Mr. Falkner did. Your brother way. Okay, sort of go back to where I was. Okay, back to this. Tricia had two grandparents. They all read to her, and they would take walks on this big farm. While walking, Tricia would ask her grandma, do you think I'm different? Grandma said, even the fireflies are different. They're all different. In this room, we all different. Doesn't make us nothing other common, because we do things differently. Okay. She said, you see all the fireflies? Every one of them is different. She asked her grandma, do you think I'm smart? You're the smartest, quickest, and there's nothing ever. That's what she told her. Kids want to hear those things. Tricia felt safe in her grandma's arm. Both of her parents, grandpa would let go of the grass. That held them down, and school seemed harder now. In this book, her grandpa would take walks in the wood. They would lay on the ground. Grandparents would say, hold on to the grass. That will keep you down. But one day, both grandparents let go of the grass. She lost her grandparents. That made school very hard for her now. And Tricia's mother was a teacher. She announced one day that she had gotten a teaching job in California, a long way from the farm. Patricia didn't want to go, even though her grandparents wasn't there. But the trip to California took 5 days. You remember those big station wagons, the two-ton women? It took 5 days riding to California. They finally arrived there. Patricia thought things were going to be different, but it wasn't. She was still teased, made fun of. And this was hard for Patricia. She did not enjoy school anymore at all. Patricia started 5th grade. The teacher was all buzz about around the school. There was a new teacher, tall, elegant, with the nicest clothes. Mr. Falkner would stand behind Patricia whenever she's drawing and whisper, "That's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Do you know how talented you are?" One day she stood up and read and was stumbling through the pages of a book. The book was Charlotte Webb. And all the kids laughed. Mr. Falkner yelled, "Stop! Are you so perfect that you can look at another person and find fault with her?" That was the last day anyone laughed at her. And that's what teacher does. You have to stand in the classroom, let the kids know. Except today, you always have one. This one was. His name was Carter. Carter would still tease Tricia. Tricia was so afraid she would hide under the staircase and don't go outside to play because she thought the kid would tease her. Then one day, Eric found her, pulled her from this hiding place. She was sobbing. Then here come Mr. and called her dumbbell, dumbbell. And down the hallways came Mr. Falkner. He marched Eric straight down to the office. He told Tricia, "You can rub with him anymore." She was happy when she was happy when she was around Mr. Falkner. He patted her on the back whenever she got something right and looked hard at students who was mean and teased her. Mr. Falkner believed that she could teach Tricia how to read. And the learning began. She asked her to stay after school one day to clean the blackboard. She gave her a sponge, started calling out numbers, words, asking to write on the board. She played music, but snacks. Tricia knew that none of the letters looked like it when she was done. She threw the sponge on the floor. Mr. Falkner ran behind her. She said, "You poor thing. You think you're dumb, don't you? You just don't see letters and numbers the way other people do." It took some cunning and smartness and such bravery to fool so many good teachers. We're going to change that. You're going to read. And you notice the colors I put up here? When you're teaching kids reading, the color helps them to see it better. Many of you highlight in your book. Why do you do that? To help you to see it better. That's what kids need. And sometimes we go in the classroom and as adults, we think into our minds and not their minds. They're not where we are. And that's one thing we don't do. We think we're doing ourselves. It's a little one. They're not where we are. Almost every day after school, Tricia met with Mr. Falkner and Miss Plussy, a reading teacher. She made big circles in the sand. She went round and round. Another day, light flickered on the stream. Tricia shouted them out. She started to build words with letters, found them out. That felt good. This is the first time Tricia probably felt good about herself. One spring day, but 3 months later, she was given a book. Book she'd never seen before. Almost, it was like magic. Words pour out into the mind, and sentences start to make sense. And she saw shapes in the page that she'd never seen before. She could read. Mr. Falkner and Miss Bussy had tears in their eyes. Patricia ran home, opened the cabinet, and took a little jar of money out. She went into the living room and found a book on the shelf, the same book her grandfather gave her years ago. She then put honey on the book. She's throwing the honey on the cover of the book and said, "The honey is sweet, and so is knowledge. But knowledge is like the bee that makes the sweet honey. You have to chase it through the pages of the book." Tears ran down her cheeks, tears of happiness and joy. She could read. Patricia's school year became an odyssey. Discovery, adventure for the little girl. She learned to love school and to read. I know this because the little girl was me, Patricia Polacco. 30 years later, Patricia met Mr. Falkner at a wedding. She went up to him, introduced herself, and thanked him for changing her life. She told him that I was a little girl you helped so many years ago. She asked her, "What are you doing now?" She said, "I'm making children's books. I'm a writer." This book impact on me. This book really resonated with me because because I'm a teacher of 45 years in the system, and I've seen so many children fall through the cracks. People don't see, parents, first of all, they don't see it. Your child is your heart, you love them to death. I served on the IEP, the coordinator of the IEP committee. The first thing we want to do is give them medicine, Ritalin. That's not the problem. The problem is we're not addressing what the needs are. Some people give them a box of crayon, put them in the corner, you just draw. Or let them sit in the back, you just read. There was a student I had who just wanted to read all the time. I let him read, but that was his friend. That was what reading and smart. And when I was teaching, the kids who were at IEP, the principal would put them in my classroom. I told him one day, "If I'm going to do this now, you got to give me something. These supplies that I need. So fill my supply list." I took these kids, and some of them are missing the love. Touch your heart. Teach a child. If you touch that heart, people do anything for you. That was my experience. Even the one that considered slow learners, they're not slow learners. Every child is born a genius. But it's our job to find it and pluck it out of them. It's there. It might not be what you want to be and the way you want to be, but it's there. Because I'm educated, I've seen horror stories of children who have lost the gleam and glistening in their eyes. For all those students that have fallen through the cracks, and for the teachers who were able to give them the necessary toolbox for learning their own way, because the genius they were born to be. They all born a genius, and we get them toolbox. I have toolbox. We all have toolbox we use in our everyday life. Why I explore this topic, I said some already, but to help parents, teachers, and community to gain a better understanding of their role in a child's educational journey. We are all responsible. When I grew up on St. Helens Island. We were communities of learners. Even in the church, you were reading. every place to read, but now I barely see a kid with a book in their hand now. Reading is obsolete now. I don't know, adults read, kids don't read. They don't read books. They probably don't know what a book is. They do audio books and things of that nature, or find synopsis of it, but actually get a book. They can get that on YouTube or something, TikTok or something. So, and the best teachers are those who show you where you need to look and don't tell you where to see. Teachers take hand, open minds, teach the heart, shape the future. To the world, you may be just a teacher, but to your students, you are a hero. There's a hero in every teacher. We are all heroes in a child's life. All heroes. In closing, as we thank the military for their service, please thank teachers for their support, kindness, ability, and dedication to students. This is a children's book, so it won't be long. I appreciate you listening.